thank you to all of you that are taking some time with us today to talk about what is arguably the hottest and maybe the most important topic in technology and possibly decades. So I'd like to thank all of the audience, but I also like to really thank my peers and some of our joint presenters that you're going to be hearing from today. Let me just make sure I give them their credence and their credibility. Kevin Levitt, thank you so much from NVIDIA, Director of Financial Services, for joining us. Kshelan Patel, who is a Senior Cloud Solution Architect actually working to implement these solutions with financial services customers here at NetApp. And Max Amende, I'm so excited about that, a real-world live data scientist that is putting these technologies and practices in place every day and is going to share some of the benefit of his expertise and background on what he's seeing. So what we're going to talk about today is basically what we are seeing. You know NetApp, or you should, Fortune 500 company. According to the CEO, Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, almost half the world's files live on NetApp. We are working with some of the biggest and most demanding customers around the globe in implementing AI and Gen AI projects, models, and getting results. And we want to share with you what we're seeing. We also then want to make sure that you understand what NVIDIA and NetApp not only have done, but are doing right now to enable you to put the power of AI and Gen AI at your fingertips more easily. And then we're going to get some perspective specifically on the financial services sector, use cases, technologies, workflows. And then again, as I said before, I'm so excited that Max is going to give us a little demo of what he's working on, things he's seeing, and then we'll wrap up with your questions and answers. But I started out by saying, I want to share with you what we are seeing. So what you see on the screen is you're in the financial services industry, most of you on this call. So you are either proud or paranoid because you and your peers, meaning your competitors, are leading the way. We just did a study released yesterday. It was the NetApp Cloud Complexity report. And loud and clear throughout that report, you'll see a link to it at the end, is the emergence of AI as the dominant workflow and use case that customers are struggling with right now. We sliced and diced how different sections of the world, different industries, different size customers are approaching AI. Congratulations to banking and finance for being a leading category as opposed to some others, for example, media and entertainment. 55% of the banking and finance customers are using AI projects right now. They're up and running or they're close. Like I said, either you're going to be proud or you're going to be paranoid because your competitors are doing it if you're not. And the bigger they are, the more likely they are to have a funded project underway to see results. And results is what they're seeing. And speaking of results, I wanted to touch on something that has emerged in about the last 6 months. It was defined in 2020, but it's really coming strong in the last 6 months. If you're working in AI and specifically in generative AI, the kind of things where you have natural language programming and you're dealing with customers through chatbots, or you're summarizing and analyzing reports, or you're doing what-if analysis and trying to collate lots and lots of data, Gen AI is one of the first stops on the AI journey that most of our customers are having, and they have really begun to adopt a mode of operations called RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. You see here the definition by our partners at NVIDIA, how they define RAG. They're not the only ones. Oracle, who's arguably a very substantial player in the data space, also says RAG provides a way to optimize the output of your LLM by using targeted information, even if the underlying model and data to train it didn't contemplate that information. Microsoft gives you direction when they say the RAG architecture means you can also constrain the generative AI model and learning to your enterprise content. Really what this means for those of us at NetApp and the customers we're working with is that you can take an existing large language model, so you don't have to buy or build your own. You can take a pre-trained model that is in the same context area and not have to train it on your data, which you can do. Fine-tuning is really important, but RAG allows you to immediately inject your data into a prior existing model and get relevant results for you. And in many cases, it's greater relevancy than you would have otherwise. Consider 3 financial institutions that are going to launch a financial services product in Asia Pacific in Q4. If they all ask the same model, the same question, with the same publicly available data no matter how hard you work to find it and the model's been trained, they will all likely get the same answer. But if one institution can say, what has our rollout been for specific, maybe this is an investment banking product, and what has the adoption rate been from our customers, and what have we learned and where we can price relative to the market? What if we also included that some of our customer surveys and even our support calls and chatbot calls as to the things that customers struggle with most? That institution is likely to get a far more targeted answer than the competitors, and that means velocity. It means moving faster with greater force. And that's why 82%, according to IDC, of enterprises surveyed are really looking for Gen AI models that leverage their own business data in an easy, secure, and replicable manner. That's the promise of RAG. So think about what you're dealing with AI and Gen AI. You know that your data is everywhere. You might have a Tokyo data center, a Dallas data center, a London data center, a Singapore data center. You may have cloud accounts in Azure East, West, all over the place. You've got data everywhere. And by the way, it's unfortunately for us, it's not always on NetApp. According to Jensen, it's about half the time on NetApp, but you might have on other footprints. It might be in Azure Blob. It might be in SharePoint. What if you could use all of that data to answer your Gen AI queries in a way that's simple and secure and easy? That's what we're working to bring together. What if you could have that data across all those environments automatically classified, categorized, and tagged, both according to metadata and data levels, owner location, category, content, regex expressions, certain key phrases, business, departmental, and Active Directory group level? What if you could get more relevant answers than your competition? Matter of fact, what if you could do this as a matter of course? What if you could programmatically have Gen AI workflows, RAG workflows that have this built in to categorize that data and pull in just what I want at that time from that query, and then get a little crazy with it. Be able to look at, I'm going to ask it a question from different points of time, from today, from yesterday, from last week, from last month, and see what the variance is. That's A/B testing. But what we find with our customers is they're doing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. They're doing ABN testing. Or what if they could look at it from different angles and prompt it differently? You've all seen what's happened with prompt engineers and the explosion of that particular skill set. So what if I could ask the question different ways to the same data? But if I have 20 different ways I want to ask that question, I don't want 20 different data sets. That's incredibly expensive. What if one data set could be queried simultaneously in these different ways, and do that in such a way that I don't have massively redundant data sets, that I don't kill my staff, that I don't crush my bandwidth moving data back and forth and back and forth? Those are some of the problems that we're addressing here at NetApp and with NVIDIA. Just to give you a perspective, we're working with our customers on Gen AI and RAG workflow operations that allow them to have a common data footprint everywhere. Different data centers, different cloud regions, all with a single control plane and a single way of looking at and managing that data, and then having the ability to have that data automatically scanned, classified, and tagged. Again, according to metadata, context, even data content. Once you have that, you can have just the right information pulled into a volume which you mount into your inferencing stages. And then you can play some games with time-based queries of that with different flows, what I call ABN, at different granular time intervals. And of course, the big thing is if there's an issue with the production or the infrastructure or the network, you don't disrupt or lose data because you're never touching the production data. And then if you could, in parallel, ask different queries to the same data in different ways. You do that if you can have the ability to have space-efficient clones. I had 50 petabytes of data, only 1 petabyte or only 500 terabytes were actually germane. So I pulled that down. And then instead of making 20 copies of 500 terabytes, I have one, but I have space-efficient clones that take almost no space, and I can have 20 queries going at the same time and then blow them away. And even better, I don't retrain or fine-tune a model, so my data and its context stays relevant only to me. Finally, if I have NVIDIA NC or CPUs that I want to use up in Azure, but my data is somewhere else, what if I could simply and easily take that data and extend it into my Azure NVIDIA-enabled environment to be able to be processed without having to move so much data because I still want to under centralized control, especially if I'm dealing with secure domain and sovereignty regions. Those are the kind of things that we're working on with our customers. I know I hit you with a lot. So my first tip for you today, I would make sure your teams are up to speed on retrieval, augmented generation, or RAG. How it could enhance your Gen AI efforts, what the kind of workflows are that would benefit, and how you would put that into place for your Gen AI workloads. If you do that, combined with the power of what our partners at NVIDIA are about to walk through with you, I think you're going to see that there's an amazing world at your fingertips, and you don't have to be paranoid anymore because you're stepping into the proud leadership position. With that, Shaylin, you have control, so I'd really like to invite my friend from NVIDIA, 𝗬𝗂𝘀𝗀𝗻, to come share his perspective and background with you.
Set up. My role today is going to be take everybody through a little bit more of a focused lens from a financial services perspective on what we're seeing within the industry as we work with leaders across banking, trading, and payments. I love that Chuck not only focused certainly on RAG and its importance, but also the critical element that data plays here. And so when we did our survey late last year around, what are the biggest challenges to financial services companies in achieving your AI goals, number one was data issues related to privacy, sovereignty, and disparate locations. So a great topic, and it's also paramount for why our partnership with NetApp is so important. On the next slide, Shaylin, if you don't mind. And that is, obviously data is what fuels all of our capabilities when it comes to AI and ML. So many tenets between our partnership resonate culturally, very focused on solving customer problems, very focused on enabling an ecosystem and having a suite of solutions that meet you where you need to be, how you need to be met when it comes to your data storage and AI and ML capabilities. So let's get into the next slide and just do a quick background. When we think of the role that NVIDIA plays, particularly within financial services, it is very much about powering AI factories. In financial services, the way that companies differentiate and compete is truly on data and insights garnered from that data. And every one of your firms is actively generating intelligence 24/7. How you integrate that intelligence into chatbots using RAG, into other customer service experiences, into underwriting, into doing a better job of risk management, cross-sell, et cetera, will all be powered by AI-enabled applications. And you need a partner that has the ability to surface an AI factory that supports enterprise transformation in AI across every line of business. And that's where we focus in working with our financial services clients. On the next slide, what it means to be an AI factory is very much having a full stack platform. And hopefully you've heard this from us time and time again. It is not simply about making amazing hardware and networking capabilities at the foundational hardware layer. It is very much about the software that sits on top of that hardware, which is able to maximize performance and utilization of that hardware from an operating system software perspective, all the way up through the application frameworks that enable your developers and data scientists to get to market faster with AI-enabled applications. Because our leading customers in financial services today are operating against hundreds of use cases where they're going to be leveraging AI and ML. In the future, it will be thousands. So if we turn to the next slide and take a little bit deeper dive into the use cases as it pertains specifically to financial services and generative AI, you can see it's a range of use cases, everything from AML and KYC and transaction fraud for payments to high performance computing related to pricing and risk and summarizing news feeds and everything that's coming in real time to organizations to help balance risk portfolios, and then creating new strategies as it summarizes that data for algorithmic trading and identifying alpha from a portfolio management and investment standpoint, to intelligent data processing and document management, to customer service chatbots, certainly creating tailored marketing collateral and imagery to help with cross sales and acquiring new customers, to certainly optimize portfolio strategies generated through generative AI for wealth management. So that's a quick overview of kind of where we see the priority use cases today for generative AI in the context of the financial services ecosystem. On the next slide, just wanted to talk about our large announcement coming out of our GTC conference last month, which is making it easier to deploy these generative AI capabilities through inference microservices that are custom created for specifically generative AI workloads. There are a couple of things that are really important about these NVIDIA inference microservices. Number one, they reduce your time to deployment from weeks to literally minutes, and they are available everywhere across the entire ecosystem. They can operate on NVIDIA's platform, regardless if your infrastructure is on-prem, in the cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid, etc. So I encourage all of you to go to ai.nvidia.com, where you can actually interact and experience these NVIDIA NIMs or NVIDIA inference microservices for yourself. On the next slide, I did want to expand the lens a little bit beyond pure generative AI as a workload and the use cases associated with it, to talk in a little bit more detail about the wide variety of use cases where we're seeing AI and ML being utilized across every function really within a financial services company, whether it's on the financial revenue front in terms of quant finance, underwriting and analytics, and utilizing alternative data, or from an operations standpoint where AI and ML enabled applications are removing significant costs, eliminating redundancies, helping fight fraud, improve the claims processing for insurance companies, and again, enabling intelligent automation, particularly for document management. And then certainly within customer experience, you're familiar with conversational AI and natural language processing for chatbots, and certainly improving the personalization and one-to-one communication with your end customers to improve customer loyalty, drive cross sales, etc. So this again is just a sampling of kind of those hundreds of use cases where AI and ML is being leveraged today across financial services. I did want to touch on the workflows on the next slide associated with some of these use cases. And for the next couple of slides, we'll just focus on transaction fraud, which is really one of the easiest places to get started within banking and payments organizations, is leveraging these new techniques to improve fraud detection accuracy. And what we're demonstrating here is through the transaction fraud AI workflow, and this really pertains to any AI workflow. There are three critical steps. There's the data factory or the data preparation, there's the model building / training, and then there's deployment. And across all three phases, you're going to find software that enables your data scientists, your data engineers to improve the productivity of their AI and ML pipelines, such that you're removing costs, getting greater productivity out of those teams, delivering more accurate models into production faster, and delivering a better experience when those models are at the point of inference, such that they meet latency thresholds and deliver the customer experience that you're expecting to enable. So that's a high-level overview of the workflow that we see in AI and how NVIDIA's software is enabling acceleration across all three of those phases. I wanted to give you some real-life customer examples on the next couple of slides. So if we go to the next one, where we're highlighting a blog that PayPal recently released about their utilization, if we can go back one slide, their utilization of NVIDIA Rapids for data preparation. That's where they're actually saving 70% on their data preparation costs. And then for American Express, we're able to highlight across all three phases in terms of training and inference and data prep, a significant improvement in the training time, an improvement in the actual performance of the fraud detection accuracy, where the model reduced false positives by 6%. And then we were able to hit those latency thresholds of literally running these more sophisticated deep learning models at less than 2 milliseconds. So another proof point with American Express here.